Okay, welcome back to another recording of the Unit 2 Creating Systems to Manage Information due to popular demand from the comments on YouTube and the place where I teach. Here's the promised Part B video for continuity. I'm going to continue with the Winter 2023 series that I started with my most recent video, which was Part A of the January 2023 series. So here's the part B of the January 2023 series. Before we start, we always want to understand this scenario. But before we get to that, when you start your exam, your assessment, you need to create this folder where you're going to save your evidence. So new folder, center number, you enter your center number. Mine's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your registration number will be your ID number at the place where you study. So you always, if it starts with the letter G, the letter F, the letter C, you put that followed by whatever your college ID number is. Yeah. You put your surname, Jackson, and F _ part B. So this is where we're going to save your evidence. Now, before we start any activities, we always need to understand this scenario to understand what are they using the database for. When you understand the context of the scenario and the use of the database, it will help you to understand why you are doing what you're doing. Aside from Unit 2, any other unit that you're doing and anything that you do in life, really, when you understand why you're doing what you're doing, you'll be able to do it faster and more accurately because you're not going to be wasting time because there's certain aspects that you don't know or you need to ask questions because, again, you're unclear. So this is why we should take time to read this scenario until we understand what's going on. Then that way, when you start, you understand why you're doing what you're doing. So Martlepool College Ladies Football Club has partially developed a database that will eventually merge with the database you created in Part A. They play as part of a league. There are 12 clubs in this league, and there will be 22 fixtures, meaning there will be a home and away fixture. Each team will play twice. Each fixture is assigned a referee, and those referees qualified to officiate the match must have a minimum of a level 5 qualification or a level 7 qualification. Then you have this other information over here. So when you start this assessment, you'd go in this folder and you'd find here all the files that you need. This is the database file that we're going to open. Now, you might have a question, why do they put 2 access files? So the reason they have 2 access files in the learner files folder is because some centers, some exam centers still have the old version of Microsoft Access. So if you can't open this first one, which will have a larger file size, then you'd open this one. But we have the latest software here, so we'll open this one. Now, before I start 6A or I look at the instructions, what I have to do, I'm just going to have a look at these tables to see what's been stored in them to help me build the context. Okay, so this has a list of all the different teams in the league. Okay. This, it includes the referee level number and a description for each level number. Nice. Okay, so referee details. Okay, the list of the referees available to officiate matches in this league. Referee contacts, I assume that's their contact details. Yep, that's their contact details. And this must be recorded in the results. Fixture table. Yeah, and fixture table records the results of the teams that Martlepool Ladies Football Club has played against and their results. Okay, so here, for example, we can see they got thrashed 5-1 because these are the goals they scored 4, which was 1. Okay, and the next match they got thrashed. They're not doing very well. Okay, now I understand the tables that we're working with. We can go back to the scenario. To the instructions. So 6A, an input form to add a referee. So I'm not going to spend too much time when I'm doing this. This is a full walkthrough of Part B. I'm not going to spend too much time to say, watch out for this, don't do this, because I did that in the other 3 videos that I did for each specific example on how to do 6A and how to do 6B. So watch those videos, yeah? So when you create 6A, you're always creating a data entry form. So 6A is always the same thing. You're creating a data entry form, an input form to add a referee. So this means there already exists a table that has information of the referees, which we just saw a few seconds ago. So what they're saying is, instead of adding information directly into the table when we want to add a new referee, create an input form, create a data entry form that will then add the data from the form to the table. Yeah. So we go on create and we select blank form. Now look, there's loads of excellent videos on YouTube on how to do Unit 2. If you find some that are easier for you to follow than my methods, please, I'd rather you do that. I want you to get the best mark, whether it's me or viewing another video that another YouTuber has posted. Find the best method that works for you. Yeah? So we're going to add a title appropriate to what the form is going to do. So this is a data entry form to add a referee. So the title of the form will be add referee. And the instructions, you can put generic instructions such as please complete the fields marked with an asterisk to add a new record. Or you could personalize it. So I'm going to personalize it and put please complete the fields marked. Please complete the fields. Oh dear. Please complete the fields marked with an asterisk to add a new referee. Yeah. So I personalized it. But if you put please complete the fields marked with an asterisk to add a new record, that's completely fine. That is appropriate instructions. Yeah, you're not going to have any issues if you did that. So we increase the font size to make it clear that this is the title. Now this part, we shouldn't be getting caught out. So we're creating a data entry form for TBL referee, because when we add a referee, that information doesn't go to the fixture table, it goes to the referee table. So we're creating a data entry form for TBL referee. Don't get caught out here. What students usually do, they'll see here it says the referee's surname, the referee's email address, the referee level, and they'll say that's all it says and that's all they add to their form. This is incorrect. To add a referee, it's not enough to just add their surname, their email, and their level. You also need to include the referee ID. So to make things simple, whenever you do 6A, add all the fields from that table. You don't have to think about it. You're doing 6A, ignore. Here it's telling you the things you need to do on your macros and your validation rules. When you start 6A, before you even start reading this, add every single field for the table you're creating the data entry form for. So I go to the referee table and I double click to add everything in that table. The next thing I need to do is to make the form ready for data entry. The form should be ready for data entry. So if you see any data on your form, basically your form is not ready for data entry, dude. So you right click. So if you select properties, you're not going to find the option to change the data entry form. You need to select form properties, not properties, form properties, because this is a property pertaining to the form. Change data entry from no to yes. Right? We don't see data, so we're ready. So we go back on this scenario. So anywhere where, I beg your pardon, we go back on the instructions for 6A. Anywhere where it mentions the user should be able to select, it means you replace that input box with a combo box. So currently, as we can see here, if I go to form view, and let's say if I'm adding a new referee, when I enter in their qualification level, I have to type in the number. So when they say select, it means I need to have a combo box, a drop-down box basically, and then they select a number. So I delete this and replace it with a combo box. If you hover over long enough, it will show you the name. I'll type in the values that I want. Remember, I've already read the scenario. It said the referee qualification level. The referees must have a level 5, 6, or 7 qualification. So that's where I'm getting my values from. I didn't make them up from thin air. Now, this is a box that most students, not most, a lot of students forget to do. So this box, you're creating a combo box, you're creating a drop-down box. If you don't select this box, Access will not know where this value needs to go to. So you need to tell Access this combo box value needs to go in this column in the table that I'm creating the data entry form for. So we're creating a data entry form for TBL referee, yeah? So now we need to say this combo box value needs to go in this specific field, in this specific column in the TBL referee table. So the correct column for this combo box value is level number. Click on next, click on finish. I'll label this select referee. There we go. So how else can you know if I need a combo box or not? That's a question I always get. So sometimes they don't always tell you the user should be able to select. So how do I then know if I'm meant to have a combo box or not? So you go to the table that you're creating the data entry form for. So we go to the referee table. So you look for fields that have data that repeats. That's always going to be the same. That's not going to be unique. So we can't do it for referee ID because that's an auto number. That's a whole different ballgame. We can't have a drop-down box for referee surname because if we're adding someone new, they're going to have a different surname, aren't they? Again, referee email, they're going to have a unique email. So on this example, this is the only column that has values that are always going to be the same. So that's how you can know if I need a combo box or not. So now I can add my button. Record operations, save record, make sure to click text and then click on finish. So I'm going to add my asterisk. I'm going to add it over here. So we only add an asterisk to the fields that the user should be able to interact with. So you don't see me put an asterisk next to referee ID because the user can't actually type in the referee ID. So if I go to form view, I can show you that quickly. It says new over here. I cannot type in anything here. This is me trying to type in something. So that's why you don't see me put an asterisk next to referee ID. Anything that says new is an auto number. Do not put an asterisk, please. So I think I have everything that I need. I check over here. There's no other thing that says the user should be able to select. Okay, so we're ready. So I rename my boxes, the fields where the user types in something. So I rename not the label name. I rename where it says name. So I click the next one. I don't click in label name. I click where it says name. Referee surname dash input. Referee email dash input. Combo 38, we rename this to level dash input. You could rename it referee level dash input if you want. Right, so once you're happy that you have everything that you want and you're not going to add any more combo boxes, input boxes, buttons, you can do this next part with remove layout. So remove layout will allow us, for example, to resize this without resizing everything else because that's not necessary. Who asked you to do that? So I press Ctrl A to select all the elements. Then I right click over the elements. I go to layout, then I select remove layout. So now when I do this, voila. I can do this as well. Yeah. We can make this center. So now I can make my elements smaller, can't I? Because honestly, they don't need to be that size. Four. Okay. Where do I want my button? I'll have my button over here. I'm happy with that. I think I'll change the font. I'll put Atlanta. Atlanta. Am I happy with that? Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now we can work on creating our macro. So when you create your macro, please don't go to create and then macro. You want to right click your button, then go to build event. We get rid of everything here. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to add error conditions. And when each error condition is triggered, we put a message box to let the user know that this is what they need to do to move forward. So the first error message, we go to the instructions for 6A. The referee's surname must be present. So whenever it says must be present, means when you do your macros, you need to use is null. So is null, I press enter. I want to say if the referee's surname dash input, that's what I renamed mine. If you named yours something different, you'd put what you named yours. So this is my first error condition. So if this is triggered, meaning that they haven't entered anything in that box, we put a message box to say, please. Or I can say, referee surname is required. Now type, it's a warning. It doesn't matter which of the two you select. The only difference is the icon that will show when your error message shows up. So add else if is to say, okay, maybe they did put the referee's surname, but maybe there's another error that they've triggered. So we want to say, okay, if they've done this, also check this other error condition. So that's why we click where it says add else if. So the other error condition, the referee's email address must use a valid format. So the first thing we need to do before we check if the format is correct, we actually need to check have they entered anything. So we need to use is null again. Because if they don't enter anything, and we've put the validation rule to check if the email address is in the correct format, the record will save even if it's in the wrong format, because your validation rule can only check when something's actually been typed in. It doesn't check that is there anything that has been typed in. So that's why we need to use two things. We need to use is null to check first that they actually put in the email address. After we confirm they've put the email address, then we can check if it's in the correct format. So we add the message box. Please provide the referee's email address. Warning. Add else if to add another error condition. So the level selected must be within the valid range. So we know for this scenario that the referee needs to have a qualification that's a minimum of a level 5 and no greater than 7. So we want to say on our error condition, if the value entered on the combo box for the level, if level input, if the value is less than 5, we trigger our error message. Or if the value entered, again, for the level input is greater than 7, again, we trigger the error message. So this says, if the user enters a value less than 5 or less than 7, or greater than 7. If the user, if the user enters a value for the referee's level that's less than 5 or greater than 7, that's when our error message gets triggered. So if they enter a value like 6, our error message is not going to be triggered because 6 is not less than 5 and it's not greater than 7. So this message box will only show up if they enter a value less than 5 or greater than 7. So the referee qualification level must be between 5 and 7. So now we can click where it says add else if there's no other error conditions, and there isn't. Okay. So valid data should be appended to the referee table. A save message should display, and the form should be cleared ready for the next data entry. I'll leave this highlighted for now. So add else means if our error messages were not triggered. So we only want to save the record if our error messages were not triggered. So the first thing we select else, save record. And then we want a message box to let them know the record was successfully added to the system. So new record, you can personalize it. You could say new referee successfully added to the system. You could personalize it based on the scenario. Or you could just say new record successfully added to the system. That's perfectly fine. It's a suitable message. New record successfully added to the system. So this type is not a warning anymore. We put information. So I can put here new record saved. Or I can put success message. So the last action we add is go to record. Go to record, what it does, form should be cleared ready for the next data entry. So let's say if I add a new referee called Samuel. If I don't have go to record, after it adds Samuel on the form and I want to add the next person, it will still have Samuel's details on the form. I'll have to delete Samuel's details first, then enter the details of the new person. So that's what it means here. The form should be cleared, ready for the next data entry. What should happen after I add Samuel is it will then clear the form and delete everything, ready for me to enter the next details of the next referee that I want to add. So that's what go to record does. You don't need to select anything in here. Yeah, so you just go to here, you look for go to record, and that's it. You click save. So the last thing we need to do is to sort out the format. So we've done is null for the email address to check if it's empty. So if it's not empty, we now want to check that it's in the correct format. So I go to validation rule. Now how you do email on part A, activity 2, and how you do the email format check on part B, it's different. Format check will not work when you do it on forms on part B as how you expect it to work. So we have to do it this way. So we type in like. So the order of the star and the question mark, the first star and question mark is different from all the other question mark and stars that you're going to have. Yeah? So you start off with star question mark. Then the other ones you put question mark, star question mark, star question mark, star, depending on how many you need. So now I can explain this. So question mark star means I'm expecting a certain number of characters, but I don't know how many characters that I'm expecting. But that sequence will end with the @ symbol. Yeah? I hope that makes sense. So star question mark means we're expecting a certain number of letters, but we don't know how many. But what we do know is this sequence will be finished by the @ symbol. So something like Jerome, it ends with @ yeah? If I put in numbers, that's what that means. Okay, then it's the same thing here. Jerome, it's okay. Star question mark says again, I'm expecting a certain number of letters. I don't know how many, but that sequence will be finished by a full stop. Same thing here, a certain number of letters. I don't know how many, but that sequence will end with a full stop. So here, if I put password dot, that's this part. Yeah, the sequence ends with a full stop. So if I put .ac dot, that's this part, and then I can finish it off like so. That's what that will do. Yeah. So you need to put the validation text to let them know they need to provide the email in the correct format. So I can put a message such as the email address must be in the correct format. There we go. So I can test this out for you quickly. Oh, this video is dragging on a little bit. but it's okay. Do that. I do that. This is what we did on the macro, where it checks if it's empty. By doing the wrong format, the email address must be in the correct format. Yeah. So now we can start saving our evidence for activity 6. So always change the landscape. Change the orientation of your document to landscape, because you're going to have wide screenshots that are wide or large in width size. So that's why I always recommend change the page orientation to landscape. Add a screen print of the input form in form view. So make sure we can see the name of your form. This is a good naming convention, form followed by the activity number. That's my first screenshot. Add a screen print of the input form in design view. Now, because I used the validation rule, if you didn't use a validation rule, this is what your screenshot would look like. And that would be fine. But in my case, this is not fine. So I need to click here so we can see the validation rule that I used. Then I'll move this like so. Now I'll take my screenshot to show the validation rule and validation text that I applied. Don't know why I said that like that, but it's okay. Right, there we go. Add screen prints of all code and all macros you have used. So we go here, we go back to our macros. Look, when you take a screen print of your macros, you are allowed to have more than one screen print. I know, it's mind-blowing. Again, I don't know why I said that like that. It sounded very condescending. There we go. Yeah, I think I know why I said it that way. It's because I had to re-record this video. I recorded it for an hour, then I realized I had the wrong quality settings, so the quality was just poor. So I'm re-recording this. So ensure you've included enough detail to fully show how the form works. So I need 2 screenshots here that shows me adding a new referee, and then showing me the second screenshot, showing them the second screenshot in the referee table that you actually added the new referee and that your form works. So I'll click close here. I'll go to form view. So what name? Surname Fletcher. Their email is going to be fletcher@martlepool.ac.uk. Their referee level is level 5. So this is my first screenshot. So I'm trying to demonstrate to them that my form works by showing them this is a new referee that I'm trying to add. And my next screenshot will then show them, you know, in the table that this actually added. So I'm not trying to, you know, they can see I'm not trying to fob them off, basically. There we go. I can even highlight it for them. Now, if the database you're working with has many records, then just go to the specific part where it shows the new record you've added and take a screen print from that. Here, I can take off everything in the table because there's not that many records. But I do know over past papers, there's loads of records and you can't do it in one screenshot. Right, so this is how you save your evidence for activity 6A. So I don't need to pause. We can move straight to 6B. So 6B, we're not creating a data entry form. You only do that on 6A. So 6A, there's a table that exists already, and you create a data entry form where the data from the form will then automatically go to the data in the table in the correct fields. 6B, we're not creating a data entry form. Now, if you want me to do a video to explain specifically for 6B, these are important formulas that you need to know. If you want me to do a video, that could cause me issues. If you want me to do a video explaining these formulas, which are essential, in my opinion, to be able to tackle activity 6B, then put in the comments video, you know, explaining DLOOKUP, DMAX, DSUM, yeah? Right, so let's get started. Blank form, we'll name this, then we'll go back to our paper to read what it wants us to do. Right, so what does it want us to do? I think this was actually one of the easiest 6Bs for this particular paper compared to previous years. So an input form to add the results of a fixture and view statistics. So I'll add a title appropriate to this. So we're going to view results, aren't we, and statistics. So I'll put fixture results statistics or match results statistics. So you could even put stats. It's okay. Yeah. Statistics. So remember, when you're doing part B, Access likes to crash even if you do everything correct. If I were to click to add something else here, whilst the cursor is in here waiting for me to finish typing the label, Access could crash. Yeah? So instructions, please complete the fields marked with an asterisk, la-di-da-di-da. Please complete the fields. To view the match results analysis. There we go. I'll make this look into a title. I'll change my font from this point going forward. Let's use Arial. Yeah, back to basics. Please complete the fields marked with an asterisk to view the match results analysis or statistics. The user should be able to select the team name from a drop-down box that displays only the fixtures that do not yet have any results. Okay, so we need to add a combo box. So we go to the team table. So it wants us to show the team name. I'm adding the team ID. How combo box works, even if you didn't add the team ID, it's going to add it there automatically for you anyway. It just works that way. Next. Finish. Yeah. So currently, our form shows us the list of all the teams in the league that Martlepool has to play against, which is not correct. Now, if this annoys you, you don't have to correct this. You will not lose marks. If this annoys you, that when I select Northright College, why is it showing me the ID instead of the name of the team? How you solve that, you go to here. Again, only if this is annoying you, it's not going to impact your marks. You go to your combo box, go to where it says bound column, change it from 1 to 0. There you go. So I'm going to rename my combo box. Combo 6 is not an appropriate name. Remember, I don't rename where it says label name. I rename where it says name. So team name. Some like to put CBO as the naming convention. You could do. Yeah. Team name, CBO or CMB. Choose a consistent naming convention. Yeah. Combo box. So what we want to do, if we go to the fixture table, I'm just helping you here to make this make sense for you before I do the next part. So you can see these are matches that don't have results. So our combo box should show the names, the team name from team number 8, 9, 10, and 11 only, because these are the only matches that don't yet have a result that Martlepool Ladies Football Club has not yet played against. So to correct this, we go to data where it says row source. I click in this box. I click the 3 dots. So just like when we're doing part A, we're doing activity 3 queries. I'm going to add a new table here, show table, the fixture table, which we just looked at. So just like part A, you're doing activity 3, you're doing queries. We don't need to show this. We want to say, show us the team ID and team name where the goals for and the goals against are empty. They haven't been completed. Yeah? That's the only way. So if I click save to go back where we were before. Yeah? That's the only way it's going to show us the team names here where the goals for and the goals against are empty. So we want it to return the names of the team where these columns are empty. So here. So we type in is no. Which is a bit confusing because when you do macros, is no doesn't have a space. That's because when you do is no without a space, that's a function. Yeah, which we use on the macro. Is no with a space is a criteria. So now form view, it only shows us those 4 teams. Yeah. The next part, the user should be able to enter the goals scored by Martlepool College. The user should be able to enter the goals scored by the opposition team. So here, this is the simplest part of 6V. You're just adding input boxes to allow the user to enter that information. So goals for, that's how they wanted us to label them. Says it clearly here, goes for, goes against. Oh, come on. Goes against. Right. I'll rename my text boxes, not on label name where it says name. Goes for input. Goes against input. Yeah. I can add my asterisks while I'm here. So remember only the boxes that the user actually has to interact with, i.e. they need to select a team name from the combo box. They need to enter the goes for and the goes against. Right, moving on. The result of the fixture should be generated and displayed win, loss, or draw for Martlepool College. Okay, so obviously if the goals for that Martlepool College has scored is greater than the goals that the opposition scored, the result should be win for Martlepool College. So we add another text box and we rename this result. And I'm going to name that exactly that. Result dash input. So here I go on data and I go on control source. So I'm going to do an if statement. So I just type out the letter I, then it's going to show me everything that I need. So I'm using my arrow key, so I press enter. So if goals for that Martlepool scored is greater than goals against, the result should be win. Otherwise, I'm going to do another if statement. If the goals against, on the other hand, was greater than goals for, then that means the opposition team won, which means Martlepool College lost. Okay, so the first part, goals for. So if Martlepool scored more goals than the opposition, which is goals against, then the result is win. So if they scored 5, then they scored 1. Martlepool College wins. If this is not true, we do another if statement to check if the opposition scored more than them. If they scored more than them against, they scored more goals than for, then the result is loss. Otherwise, if these two conditions are not true, then it's a draw. So I need 2 closing brackets because I have 2 if statements. So a closing bracket for this if statement and a closing bracket for this if statement. Okay, so currently it says draw because there's nothing here, which is the same as saying 0, 0. Okay, I can test it for you if you want to see that it actually works. So if I enter 5, 2, it should be a win. For some reason, when you enter a number that has more than 1 digit, it kind of breaks. Yeah, but it's okay. It works for our purposes. How many football matches anyway do you know where it's 2 digits? That should be a draw. Yeah. So layout view, we go to the next part. The overall number of goals for Martlepool College should be displayed, including the results of the current fixture. The overall number of goals against Martlepool College should be displayed, including the results of the current fixture. Okay. So basically what it's saying here, if we go to the fixture table, so this records matches that have been played, right? If we were to total these goals, it would reach 43. So it's saying we should add a text box, which I'll rename total goals for. That will show 43 goals because that's the total number of goals that they've scored. So then the next part that says, including the results of the current fixture. So it should be 43 plus whatever value that the user has entered for goals 4. So if they've entered 2, the total should then be 45. Yeah. So this is where we need to use the formula called dsum. I'll rename my text box first. The total goals 4. And this one will be total goals against. So these boxes, I'm going to change the fill color because the user doesn't have to interact with them. Yeah, and there's no asterisk there as well. So I'll rename this text box as well. Total goes against. Yeah, total goes for, total goes against. So now we go to the data tab. We go to control source and we use the formula called dsum. So dsum calculates the sum of a set of values in a specified set of records. So expression, if I was using dlookup, expression is the field that you're trying to return from a table or from a query. So it's the same thing here. Expression is the field that I'm trying to sum up. So I'm trying to sum the field from the fixture table called goals 4 that has the record of how many goals that Martlepool has scored. So in speech marks, I double click here. So this is the expression. This is the field that I'm trying to sum up. The domain is the name of the table where it will locate this expression. And you can see the name of the tables down here, how they've been named. You need to name them exactly how they've been named without any square brackets. And that's all we need to do here. So it's going to sum up this field from this table. So the expression is the field we're trying to return or to sum up. The domain is the name of the table where it's going to find this field. So if I click OK, it says 43. So I think I was wrong. I think I told you. So if I type in 0 here. Oh yeah, no, this is correct. So there's 43 goals. Yeah, these 43 goals. So we now need to do 43 plus whatever the user enters here. So we go here, back to here, and we just add plus. Plus goes for input. So whatever value the users entered for goals 4, add it on to whatever you've retrieved from here. So if I now select 2, it should show 45. And it shows 45. Okay. So here it's just rinse and repeat. The sum. The expression in speech marks is the field that we're trying to sum up. So we go to the table, the fixture table. Double click goes against. The domain, the name of the table where it's going to find this field, which is TBL fixture. Closing bracket, plus we click the name of our form. We go on forms, we go on the form that we're working on, and we add goes against. And we click OK. There we go. So that's total goes against. So if we add these, they reach 41. So if I select 4, it should reach what? 45. There you go. And that's it. That's all you had to do for 6B for this example. Yeah. That's what I was saying. I think this was one of the easiest examples. So now we can save the evidence. The first one will be the form in form view. So form view. There we go. Oh, I forgot to do this. So remember, only when you're certain, you don't need to add anything. Do you do this part? Remove layout. Okay. There we go. All right. I think I'm happy with that. So we can change this. We can center it. If I want to change background color, I just make sure the yellow border is selected around here. I go to format. I change the background color. Yeah, let's go for green. Change all this. This should still be the color it was before. There we go. Still want this as red. Right. So now we can save the evidence. So there we go. The input form in form view. Right, now your screenshot for your form and design view is going to be very long because we need to see all the formulas that you've used. Yeah? So we go to design view. So you need, if the examiner can't read this full formula, folks, you're not getting your full marks. There we go. Yeah, that's why you see me go all the way to there. And you wasn't good at that. Oops. Right. So now we take our screenshot of the input form in design view. We're going to need to take more here, by the way. So there's more screenshots. So remember we used the combo box where we put some criteria. So if you do this, this is going to be very long, but you can do. So we're going to do 2 screenshots here. This will be the first one, then the other one will actually show from the query view. So this is why it's important, folks, to change your document to landscape, the page orientation. So the correct way, go here, 3 dots. Make sure we can see this. Then take a screenshot of this. So to make my screenshot a bit smaller, I'm going to move this up. Okay, again, we shouldn't be cutting out. There we go. It's better. Right. Ensure you've included enough detail to fully show how the form works. This part we don't need to do for 6B. We're going to do that on activity 7 in any case. So we've got the screenshot, what we did on the combo box. Design view, the formulas that we use, we can clearly read them. The screen print of the form in form view. So now we can move on to activity 7. How are we doing for time? Oh, okay. We might be able to do this in just under an hour. We might be able to. Let us see. Before we do that, we need to save this because we're done with activity 6. We need to save this as a PDF. And on the instructions, it tells us this is the naming convention for our files, and it tells you need to submit as PDF. So please remember, you will not get marks for what you did on Access. They'll only give you marks for those Word documents that you save as PDF. They will only mark your PDFs. You still need to give them your access file, but they'll not use that for marking purposes. They use that for admin and reference purposes. I'm not going to explain why they use that. So it's basically to make sure if they're seeing something on screenshot that it actually makes sense, that you've actually done it on access if they feel something is not adding up. Yeah. So I'll resize these. There we go. Right, so let's save activity 6. We click on more options. We change this to PDF. We go to the folder that we created where we're meant to save our evidence. So it's underscore your registration number, which would be your college ID. In my example, what was our college ID, folks? Oh, there we go. It was G123456. Underscore your surname, Jackson, underscore the first letter of your first name. I click save. Alright, I don't need to save this. It's okay. Then we move on to activity 7. I think this is a bit harsh. 7 tests for only 6 marks. So test data is the data that you are going to use for the test. Whenever you do activity 7, when you do your tests, you should never use the data that already exists in the table. I hope that makes sense. You should always use new test data. So what's test number 1? What say you? Here we go. The referee's surname. Oh, sorry. The referee's name must be present. It's the same thing. So if we go back to 6A. So test data. These are all the different values that I need to provide. So I need to provide the referee ID. So because the user can't type in something that's an auto number, I just type in auto number for the test data that I'm going to use. The referee surname. So remember, test number 1, I'm trying to prove that a record will not save if the referee's name has not been entered. So that's why I'm putting on my test data that this is going to be blanked. Then referee email. Jackson. Martlepool. AC. UK. Referee level 7. So expected result, if you're not clear and specific, you're not going to get 4 marks. You'll be limited to a maximum of 4 marks. To put here an error message, it's not enough. It's not specific enough. I don't have time to go through the mark scheme. You have to be specific to say why there's going to be an error message. So I'd put expected result here, an error message informing the user that the referee surname is required. So this is specific. There's going to be an error message, and there's the reason that they need to provide the referee surname. So you need to make sure when you do your test, you use exactly the same test data. So I now do this test. So, oh yeah, I said that's going to be blank, didn't I? Jackson. Martlepool.ac.uk, and the referee is going to be 7. So this is the screenshot that I need to take. Right. Lovely jubbly, nice and simple. Okay, I do appreciate it's not simple when things are not working. So you only use this column if things are not working, if your test didn't work, and then you explain why it didn't work, basically. Yeah. But I'm only teaching you the right way, so you shouldn't be having those issues. So what's test number 2? The referee's email must use a valid format. Okay. So I'm just going to recycle this test data. The referee's surname is not going to be blank this time. because we've already done that test. So here I'm going to say it's not going to allow me. Jackson at Martlepool. Maybe they forgot to put .uk. Yeah. So an error message telling the user they must provide the referee's email address in the correct format. So Jackson. There we go. The email address must be in the correct format. Right, test number 3. I don't think I'm going to be able to do under an hour, folks. I've got 5 minutes. Let's see. Test number 3. The level of the referee cannot be below the valid range. I've already read this scenario. The referee qualification level must be 5, 6, or 7. So we copy this test data. The referee level, I'm going to try 3. An error message indicating to the user the referee qualification level must be between 5 and 7. Yeah, 5 and 7. Right, so are you okay? Yeah. There we go. So activity 7 is basically just checking what you did on 6A and 6B actually works. Test number 4. A record will save in the referee table if the details are present and if they're valid. So here. So yeah. So now we'll actually add the record. So we'll need 2 screenshots here. So first, the expected result is a message informing the user the new record has successfully been added to the system. So there we go. Save record. That's my first screenshot. Then my second screenshot, I need to go to the table to show this record. Now, if you do this test and you had the referee table open, you need to close the table and reopen it. Otherwise, it won't show you the record. It's not that it's not working. It will not show any new information added if the table was open whilst you're trying to add something new. And that's my second screenshot. Test number 5. What's test number 5? The result of a fixture will be generated correctly as win, loss, or draw. I don't like this test because test data, it really should be for one test. So here we're going to have to put 3 copies of test data in one column to show that it works for win, for loss, and for draw. Okay, so we know on the form we did for 6B, they need to enter the team name. So I'm going to select Crossroads College. Goes 4 will be 4. Goes against will be 2. That will be our first set of test data. Then here, when they've lost, 5, 2. And here, when it's a draw, 4, 4. So expected result will display to the user the correct match result based on the goals for and goals against inputted. So we need our 3 screenshots. So I said Crossroads College. So 4, 2. Yeah. That's the first screenshot. And then when it's 4, 4. Yeah, we've gone over the hour mark, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Right, activity 7, the last 2 tests. These are repetitive. The overall number of goals should be displayed, including the current fixture. The overall number of goals against Martlepool College displayed, including the current fixture, which we've already done here. So we know total goals for is 43 and 41. This is going to help us when we do the test data. Yeah. So I'm going to copy this across the same test data. I can't be bothered. So the system will display the correct number of goals scored by Martlepool College, which should be which is 41 and 45 in total, including the goals entered for the entered for the current fixture. I hope that makes sense. The system will display the correct number for goals scored by Martlepool College, which is 41 and 45 in total, including the goals for entered for the current fixture. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's 47. Oh, yes. I was looking at the. Which one was I looking at? Was I looking at the goals against? Yeah, 41. I was looking at goals against. So I need to correct this to 43 and this to 47. In fact, we could make this shorter, folks, and just say the system will display the correct amount of goals for Martlepool College, including the current fixture. What did it say on the instructions? Yeah, including the current fixture. That will make our life a lot easier, won't it? Okay, this is going to be very repetitive. So the only difference between number 6 and number 7 is to say for goals against, including the current fixture. So the system will display the correct amount of goals against Martlepool, including the current fixture. The system will display the correct amount of goals against Martlepool College, including the current fixture. Maybe we'll select a different team this time. Yeah, we'll select North Ryde College. Right, folks, and that is how you do part B. Now, if you want me to do a video on how to do activity 8, how to do activity 5, the evaluation for part B and for part A, or if you let me know in the comments and if there's 20 likes on the video, and I'll get that video sorted straight away for you. So last thing we do, we'll just save this as a PDF and we know that we are done. Right, and that is the correct way to tackle part B, and you will get distinction. So I hope this video helps. Again, if there's search for other people on YouTube. There's loads of excellent teachers out there on YouTube. I want you to get the best grade. You might find they use different methods that might be easier. I want you to get the best. Yeah, so explore different videos, and I hope this video helps and that you get the grade that you want and that you feel that you deserve. Obviously, you need to put the work in. Yeah. Okay, so I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you for watching.